Welcome to the Protein Bros podcast. On today's episode, we have Darrin McDonald. Darrin is a franchise owner of Orange Theory Fitness. Guys, this conversation was great. We talked about the actual inner workings of Orange Theory Fitness, what it's like to be a franchise owner. Obviously, being franchise owners ourselves, we're very interested in the business aspect of that too. But we also talked about how to build the culture and how to find good employees in a fitness business. It was a great conversation. We also talked about his previous career in news. It was a great conversation. If you are interested in knowing exactly what it takes to open a franchise in the fitness industry. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Give it a listen. We hope you like it. We kicked our contractor out when he still had punch list items to do, but we're like, just get out of here. We will finish everything.
We'd like to not use your help ever again.
Yeah. The days a pregnant 2-year-old, perfect timing.
Yeah.
You know, we looked at it and we were like, okay, microwave for 6 months.
Yeah.
That was food.
Yes. Yeah, it was bad. It's
terrible.
We were living in our
things
basement.
you would never sign up for twice.
We were living in our basement, and we had like a little bar sink, you know, like one of those little bar sinks, and so we're using that as like our sink for like our kitchen. And then we had a flat top thing that we cooked everything in. So it was cooking like chicken in the flat top thing.
He's living the van life, but
I was going to say that's exactly what van life is all about.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. My wife about lost
There's
her
a
mind.
difference. When you open the door and you're looking at a mountain, a stream, a river, or whatever, totally different than open the back and
Kansas City, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm still in Kansas
traffic.
City.
So for our listeners, Darrin was talking to us about, during the pandemic, he was looking for different, options that he could do. He was doing a pilot's license. He was working through that and then decided he was going to buy a Sprinter van instead and start the process of building that out and then being able to travel anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And what gave you that spark, if you will, because flying in a plane versus driving the van, two very different things.
Same goal though.
Right.
The same goal was get out, be mobile, take off. So, my partner Rebecca, she's got 4 kids. My 3 kids are grown. And so when the idea of the plane was to say, hey, we got 3 days, we got 4 days, let's do something. Yeah. Jump in a plane. It takes about a half of the drive off. So like if you're going to fly to, like I got kids at Oklahoma State, I did. I've got one in Masters there now. So if I fly to Oklahoma State, drive, it's 4 hours, right? Mm-hmm. If I fly, it's 2. I can go down to a football game, which I love to do, got season tickets. Yeah. I fly down there in 2. That was the dream, to cut the travel down. Because as we were talking earlier, that everything in Kansas City, wherever you go, it's 8 hours outside of the beautiful place where we live. Yeah. We love Kansas City.
9. We were talking about that too. Yeah, it's crazy. Everything's 8 or 9. Yeah.
And you guys know that going to the airport, which is a beautiful new airport, we'll give them credit. They did a good job. But driving to the airport, parking, getting in the line, taxi, get on the plane, fly anywhere, if you have a direct, it's still going to take you 3 to 4 hours. So if you got your own little plane, you take off, you could do the weekend. So
and these are like prop planes, right? Like a single engine Cessna type deal?
I was training in Pipers. Okay. So, yeah.
Very cool.
The fun thing, so it stopped. Pandemic happened. I walked away. And I will be honest with you, business is all shut down. Our business is shut down.
Yeah. So
then you start to prioritize and you go, buying a plane, is that the best idea of
the best investment right now?
Right. Is that the best use of capital?
The business is like, in-person stuff. Yeah. I mean, that time frame, I've talked about this on the podcast before. It basically gave me the biggest heart attack I've ever had in my life because I'm like, oh my gosh, all we do is face-to-face interactions. It's like, are people ever going to shop in a retail store?
They're telling everybody to stay home. How are we don't sell online.
Same thing with you guys.
We didn't have Orange Theory mobile app or anything like that. It was just like,
and though that was our best opportunity, that was still not going to keep the businesses afloat.
Certainly not. Band-Aid at the best.
You go from thousands of members one day in our studios to 0. Mm-hmm. And one day when you close, everything went down. And then when you come back, everybody who's scared, I get it. Everybody was, what is this? We got to mask up. We got to do all this. Mm-hmm. We realized that the business is still all personal. It's all the community. It's all the connection. But it was a long road. Mm-hmm. So, and we can talk about that, but the plane, I was like, is that good capital investment? I don't think so. Time goes on, you start watching videos like everybody was sitting at home watching on, you're getting on your YouTube or whatever, and you're like, these guys are traveling. They're doing it in a van. That's a good idea. Mm-hmm. So I spent 6 months just watching these little videos when I had some time. And then I went out and bought a Sprinter van for us to build out and do it. But again, the same concept, same idea, which is go see how amazing America is, right? Everything from the national parks we're talking about, the places, Zion, all these places that you just don't really go to. Mm-hmm. Years ago, I lived in Albany, New York, and I was 3 hours from Boston, New York City, keep going, right?
Oh,
Canada,
Yeah.
right in that hub. And I realized I worked every day and I never went anywhere if it wasn't for business.
Right.
I didn't take advantage, And now I'm older.
So many different sites you could have been,
taken advantage of. And if it wasn't work related that got you there, I didn't go. So now we take off. Mm-hmm. So recently we drove up a kid to camp this summer in Indianapolis. Dropped him off, and I looked at Rebecca and said, Rebecca, we're only 6.5 hours from Traverse City. We just took a right.
That's awesome.
Right? Found ourselves there. Ended up in Mackinac Island, went to the UP, which she hadn't been to, crossed the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Upper Peninsula for our younger listeners. They don't know these things.
Yeah, and just that's how mobile you are. You just take a ride and you find yourself where you are.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that, man. There's a lot of history with us in Orange Theory in Kansas City when we first opened in Overland Park. It was, I believe, Nicole McFall was the manager. Yep. Tim, I believe, was the name of her boss.
Yep.
And then Melissa Gilmore, Griffith at the time, was the assistant manager, or just, the first employee across the street from us.
All right.
So we were trying to help them as far as just like they were trying to help ourselves and try to partner with them as much as we could. And
they were actually, so when me and Jeff moved here in 2016, they were the first person that we talked to, correct?
That was outside of our stores.
We drove by and they had a tent set up. And we were like Orange Theory.
Going. Yeah.
I came from St. Louis. In our St. Louis market, there was a Orange Theory that I was really close with in Rock Hill in St. Louis. And I loved the workouts that you'd go get it in Orange Theory, and I was like, let's go stop by here. I was like, they're gonna open up. Looks like they have a tent going on. Maybe we can pass out or like try and spread the word of what they're doing. And so we stopped there and talked to them and became very good friends with them over time.
And it's been cool. But Melissa's been on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
We met her husband John. They're great. We love them.
Great people.
And I was just gonna get at it was just your journey with Orange Theory, and I've always heard like kind of what's going on in the background with this this Austin company coming in and buying some and them expanding and so forth. But Melissa, made me feel like there was no other local owners, and so when I heard that we had this other local owner in town that I'd never met, I was just really excited to meet you. What was your journey to get in with Orange Theory in general? Because in group fitness world, we've just been around a lot of other gyms. And, we just had Base Camp Fitness, if you've heard of them. We had them last weekend that we had them out here. And it's very hard to beat Orange Theory. I feel like the only thing you can do is try to meet Orange Theory. You can't really beat it in my head. It's like, how do you make it better than what they've done? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an interesting – I talked to some of my staff members today. You guys know, a lot of them, Brooke and Emma and Eliza. And I was talking to Rebecca, my partner, and I go – and she's really the operations. Rebecca runs the in and outs of the
day-to-day.
The day-to-day outside the glass where the membership is happening, and she knows everybody. And then the inside the glass held by those coaches that are amazing. But the joke was, this will be the shortest podcast you have because I'm not a fitness guy. And I say it in that way that I own fitness stores. Mm-hmm. I am our member. And I say it that way because, I played high school basketball. I played, up until probably 30 years old, I was still actively playing sports, having fun till ACLs and stuff, stop you quickly. Mm-hmm. And I spent 25 years plus in the television industry. So I was running television companies. And fitness was what you did if you had the time and you went and you did it, right? When I'd get too chubby, put on an extra few pounds, I'd go to the gym. Yeah. And there was a couple of times where I really enjoyed it with the people, but every time I did it, it was because of the group I was with, right? Mm-hmm. I got that guy that, Mike Lewis would always come and work out with me. We'd get that little group. And so my fitness journey was weird because I'd gotten out of the TV business and I was semi-retired in a sense. I was got bored.
Sure.
When you're my age, and I'm at that time, like right before 50, everybody's working, and it's not like you got a bunch of stuff to do.
You tell yourself, I'm going to make all this money so I don't have to work. And then you're like, well, now what do I do?
Now what do I do?
Yeah.
And playing golf by yourself is only take you so far. But the interesting thing was my brother was in television, and he was in Florida. Very successful guy, worked for CBS. And Sean was down there, and he started at working out as a member of one of the original ones. So he was in Davie, Florida, started in Fort Lauderdale right there, and he kept talking about it. And I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. I went down there and visited him one day, and he goes, come on, let's go. We're going to go to Orange Theory. True story. I know people say this all the time, but this absolutely happened. I thought we were going to go get a smoothie. And I walked down, and he goes, where's your workout clothes? And I literally looked at him, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, we're going to go work out. I said, oh,
yeah, Orange
okay.
Theory doesn't sound like it doesn't lend itself to a gym.
No.
You were thinking Orange Julius?
Yeah, but I don't know what, excuse me.
You throw the word orange in it, you're not thinking gym.
I'm not thinking gym. And so I went with him, and honestly, I survived. I hadn't worked out in 10 years, probably at that time. And I was literally on the floor and holding a plank thinking, this minute feels like 12.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
We've all been there.
Been there, right?
Yeah.
Got up, survived the gym, survived that workout. And I said, wow, this is good. This is a pretty good concept. So I went back to Kansas City at the time. He got into it. He bought the state of Indiana. You know, he wanted to invest in it. So he became the AR of Indiana, and he started opening a store called Carmel, Indiana.
Account rep, or what is AR?
AR is area rep.
representative.
So his
Gotcha.
job, as every market has, is to build out the market.
Develop that market.
Develop the market.
Got it.
Own them, sell
And sell them.
licenses to the right people.
Yeah.
And make sure they're placed in good places. And so I started watching him. So I was like, okay, the model looked good. So I went up and I spent some time with him during his pre-sale. So I sat at a desk in a store, and I talked to people that come in. Didn't even know much about the product at the time, but I was just selling people.
So
selling
you were
parts.
already sold. I mean, you were in sales at TV, had to have
Yeah,
been, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, when I was I graduated from Oklahoma State University, went straight into television. My dad was in it, my brother was in it. I went straight there, Mobile, Alabama. I remember taking that job, looking at it. I said, "Give me a map." I just took a job in Mobile, Alabama. I didn't know where it was. And,
Port City.
But
Port City.
all this to say is you're a people person. This was not difficult for you to sit at this desk and people to come up here because it was authentic. You've had a phenomenal experience yourself.
Yep. Just sell the idea of getting in shape. But I started this conversation with the idea that I was getting into it, but I was our customer. You know, like to this day, everybody who walked in on that for our first pre-sales, which was at 95th and Nall, we had a construction, the shopping center was completely under construction. We had set up like an all-state center. We had a room, put up fake walls, and just sat there at the desk like an insurance office.
Sure.
Started selling memberships. And the goal at the time was be in the 500 club, sell 500 memberships before you open. And we've been very lucky. We did 2 of the 5. We got to the 500 club, which means the day you open, you made money. You were profitable. And we've never looked back. It's a fabulous business.
For anybody who's listening, that is quite the accomplishment to do 500 memberships before you open. That's crazy.
Out of 3,000 square feet, 3,500?
Oh, no. Yeah. 35 is huge in our business. So you're talking, our biggest one is about 3,400 downtown.
Yeah.
And Nall Hills, I think it's 29, 28.
Somewhere in So just to be clear, like most gyms guys are, they can be up to upwards of 30,000 square feet if you're talking about a, Globo gym style. And so like 500 members out of that kind of space is cranking.
Yeah. And it got to the point where this was a business that we wanted people to work out though. As you guys know, the business on the big box, like we're going to sell 10,000 memberships.
Lock you into a 5-year contract.
8,000 of them will never come after the first month,
Yeah.
but they got the contract. And we'll supply a good workout for the 1,000 that come.
Sure.
We're different. We're like, where are you?
Yeah.
How come you're not here? And we'll call you. Like, hey, we're missing you. You were doing 3 days a week for 6 months and haven't seen you in 2 weeks. What's going on?
I love that.
You know.
The group fitness aspect of that, the tribal feel of it all, the culture is so strong.
I
When
think
you sweat with those people together, like you were
got
saying,
to.
you mentioned Mike Lewis, I believe was his name. And it's like, you don't forget those people because you were just dying next to them,
Right.
earlier that day.
One of the beautiful things about Orange Theory's business model, in my opinion, too, is that there's a lot of different dynamics that are happening. You have the camaraderie aspect of working out with people. You have the aspect of it being really hard. It's harder than most other, class type workouts you're going to get. And also when you're new to it, you actually have it. It's like almost easier for you to get higher splat points the more out of shape you are. And so you kind of have that like buy-in. It's easier for you to get into the orange, depending on, but a lot of times people, if you're a little bit more out of shape, it's easier for you to get into the orange zone and stay in the orange zone. And afterwards, typically in a workout, you would think like, man, that sucked, man, I'm out of shape. But like with Orange Theory, you get rewarded with splat points. And then you could be able to look at it and be like, hey, I did pretty good. Like I was dying out there.
You're
but
getting
like,
the affirmation if you don't consider yourself in quotes like a fitness person. And if you're relatively new to fitness, we want to tell you that Orange Theory does have a track. They were one of the first to pioneer tracking your heart rate during the workout. And they provide these tools for you, as a member. You can obviously buy them. Is that right, Darrin?
Yeah, almost everybody wears a heart rate monitor,
right,
and tracks their performance.
But the gym provides these tools if you're a member, and so you get to see on the screen as you're working out where you're at compared to your other classmates. And, everybody can see if you are, loafing. Everybody can see that you're not actually pushing yourself because your heart rate isn't up.
You know what? I'm gonna respectfully disagree with that.
But please do.
Don't be respectful.
Am I not incorrect in that you can see that on the screen? And so I noticed
and that's
that.
a fear for a lot of people who come into any group, any workout. They're like,
people
don't judge me.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I don't want you to see me up on the screen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we find out instantly in Orange Theory is that everybody, even the person left and right of you, might motivate you to go faster or go, and push yourself a little because they are, but you don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You never look up. You don't really realize who's next to you. You don't go, oh, Bobby, you don't seem like you're working very hard today. Mm-hmm. And they're not looking at you because they're focused on themselves. Correct. Right. And they're looking at where they are in their journey. And it doesn't take long before people realize that.
Right.
Yeah. And that's cool. And I'll give you a kind of an odd story, but we were at the Brookside location at Open. And one of our wonderful little members was the wife of our quarterback for the Chiefs.
Brittany.
No.
Oh, Alex Smith?
Alex Smith. Uh-huh. I should have had that off the top of my head, but I didn't. But she comes in 2-3 times a week. Great member. I think, does most of her stuff in Hawaii now. He came in one day and was going to work out with her. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, great. Go here's a heart rate monitor, get all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. NFL quarterback. She's on his left. Alex Smith is on tread 8. And then tread 9 is a woman who joined 2 days earlier, had a goal of losing 40 pounds or something, first big journey. And she is working out next to an NFL quarterback. Yeah. True story.
Very cool.
And they did the same workout. It wasn't like his is harder than her. Same exact workout. You've done it before. Yeah. And I watched that, and I'm like, man, that's
the beauty in it, man.
That is the beauty in Orange Theory.
It's beauty.
And when
it's all relative to the person.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
It doesn't mean that, because we're saying run doesn't mean you can't walk.
Yeah.
We've got a guy down at Brookside right now who's 91 years old, and he's working out. He walks up from about 4 blocks away in his jeans. Said, I want to join. I said, no problem. He's been with us for 2 years now, and he's 91. And he does the workout in his own 91-year-old way. And I say that with we have to have a bench there in case he gets tired and wants to sit down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He walks a mile on the treadmill, and the community keeps him coming back. 91 years old.
I'll tell you right now, that is the goal right there. To extend your health span to 91 to where you're still going to Orange Theory classes. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And what to, what I mean? Like he
loves it.
He clearly.
You said that's the magic in Orange Theory. I think, me personally, and I'd like to get your feedback on this. I think one of the biggest pieces to Orange Theory's success is you have such dynamic trainers and people who are running your classes. My sister is a consistent. She goes to Orange Theory in Olathe, and she goes all the time. And she's very much. She loves it because the coaching's so good. So like you were saying, they're very in tune with what's happening with each person, that's in the gym. And they're also the most charismatic people typically that you see all day. They're, energy, high tempo. What's you guys' training like to, I guess what's your hiring process and training like to basically maximize people's potential, because really, it's such a unique thing to Orange Theory to get that kind of experience from a trainer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Quality coaches.
Quality coaches are everything. But I will say that, because no matter where first of all, access to a gym is not a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at it, for $10, you can go to a gym tomorrow. You got free access to probably where you live. Right. So we can agree that access isn't the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So why would people go to a boutique that's a little bit more expensive, right? Mm-hmm. It comes down to community, culture, and coaching. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when we look at our coaches, my 25-year background in running television stations was about performance. So when somebody comes into us and says, hey, I'm thinking about I'd like to be a coach for you, I'm like, you look the part. That ain't much of it, right? You can look the part, you can work out, you can be a fitness person. The difference maker is when you put that mic on. Mm-hmm. Are you going to motivate me? And I don't mean just me. I mean, like, there's somebody sitting on tread 12, let's say, that doesn't want to be here. Mm-hmm. How are you going to get that person to get a great workout in? You got somebody over here who's like, I'm here because I want to be. Mm-hmm. I'm an exercise person. How am I going to motivate you to be better today than you were yesterday? Right? And that's all about performance. We spend more time talking about the class in terms of performance than we know.
It's part of it.
Podcast,
Every
right?
single person does that, so don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
We look at it, and I always talk about this. When you walk into a studio, Orange Theory, you can walk into an F45, whatever, but in an Orange Theory specifically, you walk in, and within 5 seconds, you should be able to tell, are they in a push, base, or all out? Without hearing, and it's two reasons, right? It's the sound of the music that's driving it. Is it higher? Is it lower? Is the cadence of the coach that's coaching, are they speaking faster or slower? When you take me to an all out, when you push me to a level that I don't like, that I'm uncomfortable, then you're going to be going, let's go. Right now is an all out in 3, 2, 1. Mm-hmm. And when I go opposite way and you're going to take me out of that and bring me back down, it's okay, bring it down in 3, 2, 1. So I look at it and I say, we have the best coaches, and they all have that mic ability, right? Put on a mic, they like talking. But the last thing is to make sure that they understand that they're driving a performance, and you should be able to tell by the sound of the voice when you walk in the door. You're like, oh, they're in an all out.
They're in complete control of the tempo
the whole time.
Yeah,
you have to find people that are like that have, actual good intentions. You can't fake the wanting to actually help people when it comes to coaching, and I know how hard it is to find employees that have that intention and go into their work life every single day with that type of intention. Yeah. How do you guys find those people, or do you find that those people kind of come to you because of the culture?
Two things. One, we've got thousands of members that we look at. That work out, right? Mm-hmm. Great story. Emma Brashu she's our head coach of our Brookside location. I'm sitting in the office at Brookside one day, and I'm looking out and I'm watching the class go, and the coaches, I don't remember what coach was doing. It might have been, actually, if I think back, it could have been Helena, one of our earlier coaches, who was phenomenal. And I look up and she's working out, and I go, who's that girl on 11? The reason I said that is because her workout posture, form was impeccable. Mm-hmm. We got to talk to that girl. At the time, her dream was to, she had just got her MBA. She wanted to be in sports marketing, sports management, and fell in love with it. And we got her to come on. And she's our head coach there, and she's been killing it ever since. So part of it is, how do we find them? Number one is our people. I love them. They're amazing. But they also find people like them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's how we've, besides using the studio itself to say, hey, who's that? Yeah. Do you have your certs? Can we do a mic check? Mm-hmm. Right, because you still got to be able to talk on the mic. And the other side is that they go out and they experience life themselves, and they find people, or people reach out. We advertise, for, hey, if we're looking for coaches, we come on in. Yeah. But the ones that you have to really commit yourself to becoming one. Yeah. It's not, you don't go, hey, yeah, I'm a coach and I'm a personal trainer and I've got my cert. Here's the mic. Let's first, before you can even go into the week-long training to become an Orange Theory coach, you got to pass mic check just to see that. And so that's how most of it's done, is through those people's.
A lot of imposter syndrome, I would assume, with the mic checks, where it's like people really love fitness, but then when it comes time to them being the leader of everybody in that room, as far as with the tempo and stuff, there's probably a lot of people who get nervous, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'd imagine that would be the case. Just because, like, for us, it's like, hey, when you wear that polo, you're now the person that's going to be giving professional advice to customers.
Yep.
We give them all the training, and they don't get to wear the polo until they're done training fully. They have to take over 100 interactions with people before they're allowed to be on their own, right? And even after that, they'll have a hard time with just feeling like they're the expert there, when just purely because of just age, experience, so on and so forth. And so I always wonder, how does that translate? Because being a coach, like, hey, you're now an Orange Theory coach and you go through the training, but it's like, is there still some imposter syndrome that do you think that they have to shake off, or is that not typically something where your guys' training is just so good that they're ready to rock?
I would say typically the ones that we put in training, we know they have the bones, right? So we expect them to get through it. Not all of them do, right? So first, if they get into training, then we know we've got something to work with. We get the mold, right?
Sure.
We've had people have 2 days in training. We've said, like, this isn't going to work out. I don't want you to waste your time because it's not working. You didn't do your homework, right? Because there's homework before you go in there. And we've got people who've come in and we've like, listen, day one, like we got to work on these, but we don't. So if you get to the end, this is the greatest thing, is you get to the end, you're like, okay, we have a test out. So we fill the room with Orange Theory coaches. They're working out. And you got to now, the hardest class they'll ever have is the test out, where they got to get on the mic, run a class.
All their peers, right?
Everybody in the room.
I love that. That's the test out.
That's the test out. Yeah. And then some of them get test out and they go, yeah, passed with help. Meaning that you got to spend the next 2 to 3 weeks in the studio with a coach, because you're there, but you're not quite there.
Right.
So the process is pretty tough.
But I love that you guys have that. I mean, it's not, when you, especially like for everybody listening, like Orange Theory has been very aggressive with their growth in the sense of you guys popped off. I mean, it's an incredible, growth for a company going nationwide like that. And to have those standards, so difficult when you scale to that level to continue to have such high quality. And the fact that you guys will even have somebody go through full training, doing a test out and still say, hey, you got 2 to 3 more weeks, I think is just awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The interesting thing, though, is even within Orange Theory, 1,500 of them. We're in like 30 countries. They differ from place to place. Even though we have the same expectations, it still comes down to leadership. It comes down to ownership. And you will find a studio that is the one that you fit best at. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that all over. We're very lucky. Our 3 studios have done great. The market's doing well. But, have you gone to another gym someplace else? You're like, whoa, that wasn't exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't make you as proud, as far as if you go to a different one, maybe, but some of them are killing it.
Some of them are better. And I'm like,
hey, what are you
I
doing?
love that. I'm stealing that.
That's right. Do you have any plans of expanding further? I know that's, it's still possible to continue to open more.
It is. There's a couple of things for us. Yeah. A couple of things. We opened at 95th in Nall, and then went to Brookside because Rebecca and I live right there. We could get to work in 3 miles. Mm-hmm. We opened downtown because it was a nice, perfect area that I think needed it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's lend itself really well to Crossroads there. I think it's a fixture there now.
We're looking for everybody to come back to work, like full time in. The traffic patterns the last 2 years went like the streets, you could park anywhere. Before pandemic, it was like can't park anywhere. And then it went to open parking lots to kind of half full. Now we're like, hey, it's full again. So we got to continue to get people who not only live there, but go and work there to really grow that studio to where we think it can be. But the thing about the Orange Theory thing is interesting is that, we would look, we've always had this idea for us that we have white space, white space is that unused area inside our 3 territories, right? We've always thought that right there, so we have Brookside to downtown, and in the middle of that, you've got the KU Med area, the Westport, and all that. Probably could live one there, right? And we wanted to get it to the point where downtown and Brookside were at that level, and really when you start looking at Shawnee, with Melissa's studio, that they're doing well, that we're not poaching from each other. You got to put it. And we probably would have done that in 21, 22, had the pandemic not happened. Mm-hmm. But that, living through that changed a little bit.
Sure.
And so now we're 3 years beyond it, and we're like, okay, now we're starting to look at
Let
what
things
other
catch
options, if it's not this, if it's something else in a different space, whether or not we want to move and continue to build.
Have you shopped any other gyms that have impressed you at all recently? Anything that's really stuck out to you as far as just being in other facilities? Even if it is, I guess, another franchisee, another Orange Theory franchisee.
I would say that, first of all, I love the fact that I do believe that we have space for everybody. The world needs it. Mm-hmm. We all need it. Mental health. I thought, but probably the funniest thing to me was during the pandemic, when we shut down every businesses, the one business that we should have kept open was the health and fitness business.
Amen.
Amen, right?
Yeah.
That's the... we got shut down, but the liquor stores in some markets, cannabis stores stayed open because of the taxes.
Blowing our minds when that was happening. We were like, gyms should be open.
Car washes were open.
Yeah.
That was the safest place to be, because the healthier you were, the more likely you were to do well if you got it, and you probably were going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because that changed the world for a while. And I say this, we were the dominant force, Orange Theory was. There were things like F45 in progress. There was Eat the Frog. There's some other concepts that were coming out. And what happened was Orange Theory got to that point where we started going through that process of saying, stand outside, put your mask on. And it kind of tarnished the culture.
Yeah.
And
it was hard to work out with a mask on.
It's like
hard.
impossible.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing
and as a
anything
franchisee, you had to be doing it. Like you had to abide
no
by
choice.
those rules. Yeah.
We actually did
political beliefs aside, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
You're doing what they tell you to do.
and half capacity.
Yeah, we did an Orange Theory class, and we had to wear masks in it, and it was uncomfortable.
Half that time my mask was below my nose for sure. Like if I'm being honest, like I was dying without pulling it down a little bit.
Working out in Denver, right?
Yeah.
Up in the mountains.
It's basically like that.
Yeah. And so what happened? And so it's taken a couple of years now for us to re-get that brand back. Mm-hmm. And I said, because what happened was everybody went home. A year later, they come back out and they're like, well, what do I want to do? I'll try something, right? And they start saying, and they didn't know, and in my opinion, they lost the Orange Theory advantage that they had. And so we've spent 2 years trying to regain that. Mm-hmm. And I think we're getting it. We talked about the heart rate monitoring system, everything. Everybody's copied what Orange Theory did. Smart. Mm-hmm. You got it. You can get a heart rate anywhere. But so we've gone from the best to an option. And I think we're growing it back to the best. And it didn't really change the workout or what you did, but we lost a community feel when we're like, sign up outside, put a mask on, come back. And it's taken a couple of years to get that back. So when you ask about other options, other fitness things, it gave some space for others to come in and try to gain. What we're finding, and probably the most satisfactory thing that we're seeing, is people who left us are coming back.
Yeah. They explored and they
said, you know what, it was good, I knew it, but I still liked Orange Theory better. And so now we're getting them back.
Yeah, it sounds like your guys' number one product was the experience, like the absolute Orange Theory experience that you give everybody. And, obviously it was for safety concerns, which is all understandable.
Yeah, sure.
But when you had to go through that, it watered down the experience to a degree. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the same, And so now that you guys have, carte blanche, you guys can do what you want, as far as that goes. It's awesome to hear that, the culture fully is back.
Fully back.
Did you guys, when you guys were going through that and you kind of had a lull in business due to COVID, was the corporate, because you're a franchise, was corporate deploying anything specific for you guys? Like, were they recognizing this and like trying to support their franchises? Or tell me, how is being a franchisee basically of Orange Theory? Like, what kind of support do you guys get? What kind of, marketing help do you guys get? I'm interested in the business in general.
We're franchisees ourselves, obviously. And so just love to hear how, that partnership works for you guys.
For us, it's worked very well. The interesting thing is when you get to the level of size, then it becomes more difficult. When we first opened in 2016, got our license in 15, we were 514. It was the first license we got, 500. By the time we got our third, we were 1,167, right? On the way to 1,500 plus. Mm-hmm. And so when we were on the early stages, you knew everybody. Yeah. They knew you because even though you were licensed 500, everybody owned 2 or 3. The ones that early adopters who got in early, it got to the point where you couldn't buy an Orange Theory if you weren't an Orange Theory owner, period. Right? That's who bought the licenses. So there was only maybe 150 owners, and you knew everybody. Larger they got, the bigger they got, the more the more as a franchisees, it became harder to have a voice heard. So then they started bringing up councils and stuff. So they're what they gave us is necessary, especially during the pandemic. They gave us a lot of help, a lot of resources, a lot of medical. We have on staff at corporate, they have a medical team. And so, believe it or not, Orange Theory, strange little thing, but they have more heart rate monitoring statistics than anybody else in the world.
I believe that.
Right?
Yeah.
You've been doing 1 million members for 12 years, and you are keeping all the data.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys later, but I got on, I bless his heart, he survived. There was a man who in Indiana had a heart attack while he was on a treadmill. And his heart rate monitor, I have the display, it's like this, flat.
Wow.
And because of the heart rate monitoring, and they knew exactly what happened, he saved his life, he came back. But we've seen a lot of people use that heart rate, but that heart rate monitoring data is the most in the world. And so that's what keeps the Orange Theory on the front of new technology, and that's where that support comes in. You started off was heart rate monitoring, then it was like, now we're going to individualize it after 20 workouts. Now it's like it automatically updates you every time you work out. So it's into that purpose. So that kind of stuff we could never do on your own.
So do you guys have like a program or an app that you can go in and basically like, for like a watch, you can go in and kind of look at your statistics over time, heart rate over time, HRV over time. Do you guys have anything that's like that?
I think they're working more on that. I can go back and pull out every workout I've ever had. And tell you how many workout, I've got all the data, all the last workouts, how many I've ever done. It's all there. But tracking, and I'm going to check on this because this might be over my pay grade. I have not seen it where it's tracking your health.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the fact that you get to go back, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the fact that you can go back and look at what your heart rate was at last year at this time at a workout. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is that in the splat world, you had mentioned earlier about, hey, you can get how many did I get? We're moving away from that idea a little bit with the idea of saying every workout's different.
Yeah.
What did, and not saying, I always get 20. I need 20 today. And I'm like, well, did you have coffee before you came? Did you do this? How's
so
your
many variables
diet?
That go into the splat.
What's your recovery like?
Right?
What's your sleep like? Your hydration?
Where are we an endurance day? Are we doing a strength day? What are we doing? So we're moving away from how many splat points. We don't do that as much as we do. It's like, how's my overall performance?
I love that though.
Right.
Yeah. Competitiveness.
I beat you, man.
Yeah.
It's there for who value it though.
Yeah.
It's there for who values it,
Right.
It's not the end all be all, but it's there for people who value that.
I also think people are getting a lot more educated on the variables that you were talking about, overtraining, undertraining, trying to find the sweet spot as far as being able to go into your training sessions and basically maximize those training sessions by what you're doing outside of the gym. That's something we always talk about with customers a lot is that, you can go bust your ass in a gym as hard as you want, for an hour in a day and completely throw away everything you did in that gym if you're not doing the right things outside of the gym, because that's the other 23 hours, of your day. And it's really easy to screw that up by not getting enough sleep, not drinking enough water, not getting enough protein in. There's lots of variables that go into that. And I feel like people are paying attention to that coming out of the pandemic more than ever before, like by far.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we love this partnership we got with you guys. I know some people were affiliated. You guys have been around. You got at least how many you got now? 8?
We have 8, yeah. 8,
Lee Summit and Overland Park. And the reality is that we do only part of what you need.
Yeah.
We're going to work you out 3-4 times a week for an hour, but everything you do before it, what you guys bring to that table is saying, hey, listen, you guys got you got to eat more protein. You got to get some supplements. You need to go see these guys because we don't do that. We don't sell that. That's one of the things that Orange Theory, like, we're going to work you out. We got water, we got, but we don't do the nutritional side. We'll give you advice. We'll send you guys to, our members to you guys because you guys know that side, but you got to do them both.
Yeah.
You can't do one.
Yeah, the big thing,
that's awesome,
with that is, we get people that come into our stores all the time, and they'll want to start taking a supplement, and you'll be like, hey, where are you working out at? Oh, I don't work out, and you're like, what are you doing in here first? You
Right.
should be in a gym first and then, find us. But, people, the way that people get into their, their fitness journey is different across the board, so it's good to have a place like Orange Theory where you can send somebody and trust that they are going to get a good workout in,
It's the hardest part of taking somebody who's new into a fitness journey. And there's so much, paralysis by analysis involved with somebody trying to make this decision in something that they're not very comfortable in. And we meet those customers frequently in the store. And so I'll never forget, I had a customer who had come in a handful of times, and they're that classic one where they have a new thought process every time they come in with, well, what if I need to do this? I talked to this girl at work and she told me she does this. And then I talked to this guy at church and he told me he does this. And every single time they came in, they wanted to restart new with this, new strategy versus just sticking with something.
Right.
I said, if you want my advice, I'm honestly going to tell you this because I love you. I will not give you any more help if you talk to anybody else about it.
Right.
You're not allowed to talk about this even with your mother. Yeah. You're going to do exactly what we say, and that's the only thing you're going to do, and then watch the results happen. And I made her get a membership. She was in Lee Summit, so she started off at the Lee Summit location.
Yeah.
But I made her get a membership at Orange Theory because I'm like, you can just show up, do what they tell you, and you will sweat your ass off. You will work your ass off. You will burn a ton of calories, and you don't have to think about it. And that is your biggest problem right now, is that you're just thinking way too much.
Yeah.
Just do this, follow this.
I spent 25 years in television advertising. Yeah. I could convince you needed to buy anything.
Yeah.
That, that's, and they hear, you're like, why are you listening to Aunt Marge?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. You're not trying to switch spots with her. What are you talking about?
It is crazy what the types of people will listen to when it comes to advice about things. You're like, what? Why?
What's their experience with that?
What makes that person an expert on that?
I don't know what age I got to. I think just from doing years of you being in sales and me being in the store, I probably was around 26, 27 where I started to just simply go to professionals for everything and let them burn me. If they want to burn me, that's fine, but I'll give you all my trust because this is what you do full time for a living. And it's like you've been doing it for a while and it seems like you want to keep doing it for a while. And so you only get to do things for a while if you do it right.
Right.
So I'll just follow your lead.
And if you're going to get a second opinion, get from
somebody
who also knows what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. People get second opinions from doctors, typically from talking to doctors, but they also get 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th opinions from their neighbors and from everybody, and you just wonder, you're like, what are you doing? And then 100 more from WebMD. And
yeah, exactly right. I'm going to go research this.
I want to go back to one thing that really is the last part of I feel like the model that I would love to harp on. And that is, you mentioned the coaches all being so great and how you guys find them. But I think the thing that I want our listeners to understand, if you are looking to get into the fitness industry and you want to have staying power, the phrase that we really grill home to our team is just people, they don't care what you know until they know you care.
Right.
And so, everybody's typically coming from a selfish place to get started with fitness because of their own journey. And that's exciting and that's fun. But you don't get to talk about your journey when you're coaching a class, and you don't get to tell everybody how you overcame this and that, while you're coaching a class. And so you really have to care about other people's results more than your own.
I will say this. When I first got into sales, okay, I'm an old guy. So I had a cassette tape and it was Zig Ziglar.
Classic. That's one of his quotes for sure, by the way.
Yeah, Zig Ziglar. And I put it in every day, learning the sales program. I was 21 years old, getting in my car. And there's things that to this day I still teach our people from that cassette that I probably listened to for 6 months straight every day for an hour. So I knew you could probably do, I knew every word of this cassette back in the day. And this really goes down to what you just said. It's like every day somebody walks into, I'm going to say Home Depot now, back then I don't know what it was, right? Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
And they go, I need to buy a drill. And there is not a single person who's walking into a Home Depot they really want to buy a drill. What they want is a hole. The only way to get the hole is the drill, right? And so we talk about that because everybody's journey and everybody, when they walk into the store and they, into the studio and they go, I really want to start my journey. It's not, nobody wants to buy a membership. Nobody wants to go to that class. Nobody really wants to talk to that coach. What they want is something. They want to look good at that next wedding that they've got planned. The next. I said the next.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, it's possible.
It's possible.
Pretty common these days. Pretty common.
Yeah. Pretty common. But they've got some thing in mind, and it's the whole. So we teach our coaches and we talk to them all the time, and everybody's whole is different. You just got to know what it is, right? That's what they want. And if you focus on that, they'll buy the drill. They'll keep coming back. They'll take your classes.
We're solving people's problems here, and your guys' tools solves it, better than most out there.
Something that we tell our guys too is like, not only do you have to, what's up?
Water.
Oh, not only do you have to figure out like what that hot button is that people are trying to solve, but you also have to be, knowledge is only 50% of it. You have to be motivating enough that they're going to stay on the path that they're trying to be on, right? So if they're trying to go, if they're trying to lose 20 pounds to go on to, a cruise ship, they might be going home to a family that nobody else in their family works out, and everybody else in their family drinks wine every night, and everybody else in their family drinks or eats McDonald's. So what kind of interaction are you going to have with them that is inspiring enough that's going to make them go home, follow what you told them to follow, and actually go to the gym consistently? Because you have to be an inspiring individual to try and make somebody do that. And if you are the type of person that just spits out information, it's like, man, that's just not enough.
No,
it's not. So
realistically, we always tell everybody that in the absence, what is the saying that we talk about all the time? But in the absence of mutually agreed upon expectations, the members' expectations will be exceedingly high.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is if they come in and they say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, I'll give you a week. Right?
Right.
You have to have those honest conversations, and you have to have them in a way that says, okay, what's your goal? Maybe it's not weight loss. Maybe it's I want to gain muscle. Maybe it's I want to, fit into the jeans I fit into 15 years ago, whatever it is. We got to look at that and say, okay, well, how long is that going to take? And you got to give them a realistic pattern. And then when you monitor it, are they on that goal? Because, man, without that conversation, without that agreement, their expectations are probably out of whack.
Yeah.
And so that's a very big point of everybody who walks in the studio the first time to find out not only what the hole is, what's the expectations of actually getting that hole.
Now, and that's again the situation where you have to have a team that cares to ask those questions, right? Because once they got you in quotes, right, they've got the sale, they're a member now, and they're coming to the class, they might say, "My work here's done,"
right?
And so you have to care enough to ask those questions, have those tough conversations, because those people are going to come at you later, right, with those expectations. I'm only down 4 pounds, and it's already been 2 weeks.
Right,
that's amazing. You're like, that's amazing, and they're like, well, I thought I'd be down way more by then. You're like, dang, I wish we would have had that conversation sooner.
Yeah. Or you go to the person who comes one and they're too sore to come back because they've overdone it, and then they wait a week and they come back and they get sore. Yeah, and they come back. You're like I'm just not seeing a result. I'm like,
you're going to have to bite the bullet and work out sore.
We're going to have to improve that commitment to get back in there.
You guys have something that is unique to Orange Theory as well in the dry try.
Yeah.
Where did that come from as far as, Orange Theory as a company? Is that rooted in some kind of story? Because it is unique to you guys.
Yeah, I don't know that answer. It's always been there from day one. Like when I joined, we bought our first store, got opened in 16. It was part of the annual thing, because we have these benchmarks that we always.
You also have Hell Week.
Hell Week's fun.
Yeah,
that in the old day, you got a new design on that Hell Week T-shirt every year, and you don't get it unless you complete it. And you see them walking around, you're like, the Hell Week T-shirt right there.
Yeah.
That's 3 years old too. You got it. But dry try being the fact that it's I love the dry try. You've got to run. You got to do the rowing, and you got to do the work, the floor weight exercises. It was our version of a triathlon, right? And it's worked in the studio. What we've done is we've taken it outdoors. So in the fall we do it outdoors, and then in the spring we do it indoors.
Are we doing laps around the building? How do we do the outdoor portion?
We literally take all the equipment out of the studio, take it out to we did this last one at Brookside, one location for everybody. So we had heats all day long. And we brought 18 rowers out there, 18 benches, and all the what they need to do that. And they ran the trolley trail for the outdoor run. So we're setting that one up it'll be September 24th, 24th.
That's awesome.
23rd, Saturday.
That'll be fun.
And it'll be the outside. Knock on wood.
No rain.
No rain, right. A week out, we're like, oh, what's it look like? Yeah. And so we do that. It's an amazing little event. And getting people out of the studio and getting all 3 of our studios together, doing it in one place. And instead of having 40 here and 40 here who sign up, we got 120 together. Big community event right there.
Yeah, that's really cool. Really cool. I think those, those type of where you have a big event like that, where it's, something that everybody can kind of look forward to, but also there's a magic in like you look forward to something, but you also dread it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you complete it. I made him do a workout last week with me, and I dropped I dropped the workout on him like 3 days before, and I knew that he was like, "Man, this is gonna suck."
It was the night before.
But then
he was so generous.
No, it wasn't.
3 days.
It was a couple
He gave
days
you a heads
before.
up though.
Hey, he gave me a heads up that we were going to be doing a workout, and that was.
I was so pumped that day. I was like, "Jeff's here! Jeff's
Hey,
here!
hey.
Let's go!"
I learned what it was 10 minutes before we started. That was the truth. But
my God.
it was
fun.
over an hour and a half of just being on the pedal.
It's just like, doing that stuff together. It's fun, man.
I scaled it for sure. I wasn't able to do some of the things like 3 rope climbs for 6 rounds, but there was, dude, it was an hour and a half of just, you're not allowed to stop moving. And my heart rate was tested.
How long does a dry try take?
You're looking at about, it depends on the person, right?
Sure.
The low 25, 30 minute range is great, because they're going to do, the funny thing is the best thing they can do is, you can do to challenge yourself to see where you are physically is a 2,000 meter row.
Yeah.
It's an amazing,
it sucks
because you start off like, I can do this. And then halfway through you're like, oh, and you're going
butts
from
on fire.
Yeah. And you're going from that, your heart, you're losing that oxygen you need to keep going. And, they always say it's one of the best conditioning, but challenges to see where you are in your physical. So they got to do that. And they got to run, 5K, and they got to do the weight set. So
are the peripherals that you think Orange Theory are going to start incorporating to evolve if they need to? You know what I mean?
We've got an exciting thing coming up. I like.
Everybody
able to
knows. Share?
Yeah. We just started promoting it. It starts September 1st, but it's a Strength 50 class. So we, hey, I'm 56. I'll be 57 soon. And if I know that there's a trend to more strength training, right, as opposed to go outside and run and do all the cardio, we see the changes in people's, that's the thing. If you want to be the 400-pound gorilla, you got to stay on top of what's happening in the fitness business. So we're introducing, they've come out with this thing called Strength 50s, and they're going to be, so we're ordering more weights, we're ordering more stuff that we're going to start putting them in some prime locations. So we had a thing.
Separate locations.
No, prime time period slots.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So you got it pulled up there, but what you end up doing is these are
50 minutes.
Yeah. We had a lift 45 where it's like, okay, no treadmill. We're just going to have you lift, but we're redesigning them. And now what happened was people just loved the 60-minute workout. And so it was hard to say, hey, at 6:15 in the morning, we're going to take that away and give you this. Because our membership was like, no, we like what we do. And now we're taking a big, huge, strong look into this, different way of saying, okay, we're going to get back into some strength training, and we're going to introduce this, and it's called a Strength 50, and we're putting in some prime spots.
I love that.
And that starts September 1st.
So, from a business standpoint, you guys putting them in prime slots, it just lets everybody know how serious you guys are taking these classes.
Yeah.
Because you're not introducing them on a random day, on a random time. It's like, hey, we want everybody to try this.
Yeah.
Right. And from a branding standpoint, I'm the branding person here at S2, and I'm like, I love that you guys didn't include 45 in the name.
I love,
right? Yeah.
I love that you guys. You basically took. If someone were to come to ask me, what's Orange Theory's weak spot, I would usually say it's probably that once you get to a certain strength, the dumbbells are at 50s. That could be a limiting factor for some people that are strong.
True.
So you guys basically took that, recognized that, saw the trends that are happening in fitness and attacked it, which, to be, like you were saying, to be the 400-pound gorilla, you have to do that. It's smart that you guys were able to kind of identify that and do that, you know. And also, I think it's just the best thing for your member base too, because, you know, if you're trying to increase people's health spans and increase people's quality of life, strength training is a big part of that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it seems like it should be a good, you know, turnout for you guys, I would guess.
Yeah, instead of doing those lift 50s at like 3 times a week, we're like downtown, we've got 3 a day. Right. You know, so really leaning into that. Now, you know, we went from the dumbbells at 50, and then we went up to 75. So we've got the heavies.
Oh, you guys got 75 now?
Yeah, we do at all the studios. The problem is now what we're doing is we're filling in and getting more of the 30s and the 45s and stuff where we were sharing before a little bit in a sense, right? Because, you know, you're not quite built that way.
Yeah.
And we're making that investment, bringing into more weights, more options. And this is for us, we're leaning fully into this.
On the September, you know, we'll talk about it after this, but like that's like a great way for us to hopefully bring value is in the sense we can do recovery stations for the days of people starting with lifting. Like, all right, here's protein. This is why you need it.
This is why you need it. Yeah.
Right here. We broke them down more than we have in a while as far as muscle tears go. That's cool.
Yeah.
Regarding, business in general, man, we have such a, you know, we don't have honestly a lot of, guests on here that are our elders, you know?
Sure.
And, you know, there's so much I know I can learn.
So professional or weird.
All right.
I'm older. I get it.
You mentioned being 56.
I just turned 36, man. You know,
I'm 55, right there under you.
Yeah.
But just having someone that just has a lot more life experience than I do, and I like don't get a chance to be around a lot of people like that often. And so my question to you is just from a business standpoint, is there anything that you feel like if you got to be the franchisor, if you got to be corporate for a day, is there a change that you would make?
It's a great question. You know what? I would say this. I think in any business, right, you guys know, you know, it's consistency. In order to be consistent, you have to have people in the field going and looking. And Orange Theory grew so fast for so long, and they're amazing. It's an amazing company. I'm not putting them down. But when you grow at a certain speed, there is a time where you get a little bit loose. Mm-hmm. And I think they're reining that in pretty good right now, which is good. You know, we've got a lot of big companies who came in and saw the value of the business and said, okay, let's come in and buy some of these things out. And some of the original owners sold out, and they came in and they own 50, 60, 70, 200 in New York, and they run big companies, and they're really bringing it down and running good organization. Good. So I would say that having, you know, you go to a McDonald's and you have a good experience, and you go down to one and, you know, 10 miles away, and you're like, oh God, they're not even open, you know, and to have consistency in a product like this is critical. And so you gotta, you know, inspect what you expect.
Yeah.
And I would say, and they've done a good job of that.
Just
but when you grow at that level,
accountability a little bit.
When you're opening 400 stores a year, for a while they were doing that. That's hard to do.
Do you guys have a franchise field rep that checks on you guys, or do you guys have Yeah. And how often do they visit your locations?
Oh, they're around here all the time. We actually, Rebecca and I did that for a while for this market.
Oh, okay.
And then now in this market, Lauren Stone, who used to work for us, who's doing it now. She's an amazing woman. But Rebecca and I oversaw the market for a while for a company that is the Austin Fitness Group, who owns the market in the sense of the AR rights. Mm-hmm. So we did that for a while as local owners, and that's good. But everybody's got somebody that comes. But there's a difference between ownerships and corporate. Mm-hmm. And that's where I would spend some time, is making sure that the owners of, you know, that the corporate have their people on their eyes on the ground, and they got to get out and move. And
because the ownership groups could have their own set of standards.
They can.
I could see how that could happen really easily. And you know, the thing is too, is if you don't have people, as a business becomes more successful and it becomes, you know, more lucrative, and people from the outside notice it being more lucrative, you can get people that come into the business purely from the standpoint of, I want to make money, which obviously is why we're in business, is to make money. But you also have to have the right intentions on top of that too, to really be able to continue down the path of the culture that is important to a business succeeding. And I'm sure that there's been ownership, because you guys have such a large amount of stores. I'm sure that there has been, groups that have came along with the mindset of we are just in this to make money, and that can dilute the product. It's something that we've thought about personally a lot, because as we continue to grow, we don't want to run into the problem.
We're one of 2 franchise groups.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like the only risk now is like if we open up more do you dilute your quality, right?
Absolutely. So, I would say this, the reason Orange Theory worked and what they were so good at is when it became a product, when Ellen did the original Ellen's Ultimate Workout, right, and built this, got with Dave and those guys and said, wait a second, we need to do this on a franchise level and create something. It was so well received for the first 2, 3, 4 years that only the people who got new franchises for a while, unless it was a new market we'd not been in before.
Which is a huge quality control.
Yeah, right. So you had people bought in, like we bought our first store. Then we said, man, this is awesome. We love this. We bought a second. We didn't come in and go, I need 100 licenses. And right, it was like one at a time. So you had all these owners who were invested in the product who owned 1, 2, 3, maybe 6, 7, or 8. And all of a sudden you've got 1,000 stores out there, but they're locally owned.
Yeah.
So the product was built before the bigger companies started coming in.
Totally.
And so they did. And that's, you're right though. If you guys have 28, 30 stores, whatever it is, I don't know. If you tomorrow we're just going to sell licenses and have 70, the brand would get hurt if it wasn't people who were invested in what you were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for confirming what I feel like we're going to do as far as our growth strategy. And that's our
whole thing
is
we want to provide opportunities for the people that work in our stores now. So it's like we understand that can slow down growth, and it's also going to take a lot more capital investment from like our standpoint, but we feel like it's the right thing to do. And honestly, with what we do and how much you have to care about a customer at each and every customer and the standards we have, it really feels like the only way to do it,
Oh, absolutely.
On our end, at least, the quality of it. Our product is our team, it really is the staff. And so, we can open up and put shelves up on the wall and throw supplements on the wall in a new city, but if we don't have the right team, it's just not going to move. No one's going to care.
I love the quick trip model, right? Mm-hmm. And I say that as like, I was in, I don't know if you guys know, but obviously Quick Trip's one of the best run convenience store gas station chains in the country.
You don't have to tell this guy.
Yeah,
He's a Quick Trip influencer or something like that. Insider. What's it called, Jeff? Come on.
I'm not anything besides a loyal fan.
Me too, right?
They've given me
He's been on their main page of their Instagram.
I've been sent some Quick Trip towels, some bath towels. I got a big Q inflatable that I lay on.
Oh, nice.
But sorry to cut you off.
No. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they're from.
Mothership,
and by my school, there was one. They didn't even have gas. They had a Quick Trip spelled out, not QT, spelled out, and they just sold stuff. But the point was, if you see them go into a market, they dominate.
Yeah.
And I was driving to Denver recently, and I was like, there's a Quick Trip.
Just started, yeah.
That's the next one, right?
Yeah.
I remember when they came to Kansas City. Now they're everywhere in Kansas City. They slowly and just
with distribution here now too.
Distribution and but they do it with a plan.
Quick Trip also has completely changed the gas station. There he is. That's Jeff.
Oh,
they sent me a hot dog towel. I let them know I got it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Sorry, y'all. Just
Quick Trip's the only gas station that I go out of my way to go to, and they completely changed the gas station market because now you can't have a dumpy gas station anymore. Well, I mean, there are.
No, but so as a van lifer, when you're out driving, you've got a list top to bottom. I'll stop here first. Here, if that ain't available, okay, here we'll go down.
Yeah.
Last stop.
Hold on, what's your second? It's got to be Casey's, right?
No, actually,
my Casey's,
Buc-ee's.
No, I have not been to a Buc-ee's. I have not, but they scare me. What are they like? 100 pumps.
Yeah. It's an event. Yeah.
I have not been to a Buc-ee's yet, but
the bathroom situation at Buc-ee's is impressive. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's floor to ceiling doors.
Floor to ceiling. Good.
Yeah. I care about business, Kyle. Weird enough. These details matter.
They do.
You go into a bathroom, they have floor to ceiling doors. They all have like the light above it, like the new KCI airport, right? They have the lights that let you know if it's taken or not.
That's cool.
Yeah, tons of privacy. And then like they have obviously like fresh everything being made and they like let you try it. They're just handing out samples of barbecue and fudge and all the things.
Have you been to Wally's yet?
I haven't.
Wally's is like so
Similar.
they just put one in St. Louis, and it is a direct ripoff of Buc-ee's. It is.
Is
the
it?
same thing?
Direct thing, yeah. Exactly. It's like, but it is like you like this part of it because of the Route 66 trip you had mentioned earlier. They modeled it after a Route 66 stop. They have a bunch of like classic old school road trip stuff.
It's
there.
cool. My second's Loves. I'll look for a Loves.
Yeah.
And mostly because they have, I
showers.
travel with two dogs.
Yeah.
And they have they always have dog parks.
Nice.
And
I
that's
never noticed that. That's cool.
Yeah. So at least you can let them run around for a little bit.
We're big dog people. What kind of dogs do you have?
We got a 6-year-old Sheltie Poo, Macy, and then we have a 7-month-old, 8-month-old now.
Ooh, puppy phase.
Australian Labradoodle.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
is she biting at your feet a lot as a puppy?
yeah, she likes to nibble and not destroying anything yet, but yeah. So
And these dogs come along for you guys on your van life trips.
oh yeah, gotta have them.
We have some friends that also have done the van life as well, like for months and months at a time, and they said that they see other people that do this. This is the. Do you ever done this with somebody yet?
I have not.
On the steering wheel, it's
The
a V
van life,
and
yeah.
an L
Yeah.
apparently, and that was like the symbol. They told me that.
Jared
they
and
send other
Claire?
people. It is Jared and Claire. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I envy some of that, and then I'm like, I don't know if I want months.
I'm with you on that.
I don't want to live. Yeah, it's got the radar. It's got the solar. We're totally off grid on this thing, but I'm like 10 days is awesome.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Point of diminishing return is somewhere. along the way.
Yeah, you want to go and experience and then come back and
come
sleep
back.
in your actual bed.
Exactly.
Darrin, we have one question we ask every one of our guests.
Okay.
And because you are a transplant as well and arrived in Kansas City in 2015, is that right?
I was here twice. The first time was 2003 for a couple of years, and then they sent me to Vegas. I ran a television station down in Vegas for a while. That was crazy. Fun time. And then they sent me back, so I ended up back here in 2012.
Settled in, huh?
Yep.
What is the best barbecue in Kansas City to you? What's the number one spot?
The number one spot.
Friends are coming in town, whatever. Where do you take them?
I take them to Q39.
It's a popular answer.
Is
it's
it?
a popular answer.
Because it's a very good
Because
place.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's because that's my favorite place.
His
Is
favorite.
it? Is it?
Have you had
It's where-
Slaps?
I have not.
Slaps is great. You should definitely try Slaps. But
Where's
I
that?
also like Q39.
KCK.
Yeah,
KCK. Yeah.
It's what is that road that it's right off of?
It's just right across. I think Minnesota. Or
Minnesota.
whatever. It's just right across the
Yeah.
river. The Rock Island Bridge project they're doing right
Yeah,
now, where
yeah,
they're turning
yeah.
it into a park.
The park.
Right? They're putting a Slaps on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the restaurants there. But
It's not.
Q39, ironically, I just don't go as often now, even though since we've been doing this show,
Right.
we've had so many people mention Q39, and I always, sing its praises. But I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't
don't
been
go,
more than
yeah.
one time in the last probably like 2 years.
I eat more Jack Stack for some
Yeah.
reason.
I went to right over here on Row and 103rd Brew Bakers.
Brew Bakers?
Yeah, last night for the first time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Good?
I've never had it.
Pretty simple, straightforward barbecue, but they got this ham salad sandwich. It's really good.
Really?
And we went there last night, had a great time.
Nice.
Very small, very local. I like local.
Yeah.
I say Q39 is a great place, and on Jack Stacks and stuff, and they're successful. They're great. But we've been looking for like really local.
That hole in the wall.
The hole in the wall.
The owner and operator is there.
Yeah. When we go to this place, and I'll give her a shout out because it's called Carrie's. It's a Mediterranean on 39th and Rainbow or so. I'm like, so who owns it? She goes, I'm Carrie. Right? She's waiting on you.
Yeah.
She's
Like,
husband's
I'm gonna
cooking in
make
the
your
back.
food.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
That's
absolutely
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah, those are the best
The
spots.
lifeblood is like the small business lifeblood. That's just the most fun people to talk to because they have to care
And they work their butts off.
the
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
And
The restaurant
Yeah.
business in general is a tough business
Tough.
to be in. Tough. And so it's like when you are talking to somebody who's the actual person
Yeah.
that owns it and they're making it for you, that's
statistically speaking, it's one of the worst things you can open.
awesome. Yeah.
Any
But we
food
gotta
service,
have it.
right? Yeah.
But we got to have it, and the ones that make it big. But it's like 50% fill in the first year.
And
I
I tell anybody who's listening, it's like you can be a great product of this because of you said like, hey, I'm not a fitness person, right? So to speak, and it's you can be really passionate about baking, but you have to actually learn how to run a business. You can't just be the baker, right?
Correct.
And so that's what I think a lot of people, where they fail, is just they didn't have any of the experience with how to run a business,
Man,
and went right into it from like a product only standpoint.
Food is so easy to screw up, because if you don't have any experience with it and you're trying to do food orders and food costs and projections, it's like, man, what a nightmare.
That's tough.
Right.
That's
What
tough.
a nightmare.
Tons of spoilage, tons of places where it can go wrong.
And on small business, let's be honest, and you guys know, it's the only thing that you can quit a 40, 50-hour week job so you can work 80.
Yeah.
Right?
Very true.
A lot of people are buying themselves another job.
Oh, you must really enjoy your life, you know, as an owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killing it. Yeah, it's the best.
It's the best.
Yeah. My contractor that's working in our basement, I told you we're remodeling our basement. He's like, he came up to talk to me 2 days ago, and he goes, dude, you got the weirdest schedule ever. He's like, you'll be like here in the morning, but then you'll be gone all night. And he's like, then you were just gone all day yesterday. Like, what were you doing? I was like, I drove to St. Louis. he was like, you got such a weird schedule, man. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's just how it goes, man. I just am.
Takes what it takes.
Takes what it takes.
You got to do it, right?
Yeah.
People count on you.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you got employees, you got families, you got, you know, it was, you know.
Take that responsibility serious. Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you're going to have three, like you were saying, if you're having 3 locations, it's like, well, people are counting on you.
Mm-hmm.
One last one I was going to tell you, just because you're a fan of the local. We had a new barbecue spot opened up in our neighborhood called Wolfpack Barbecue. And it's his name, I believe, is Jared Wolf.
Okay.
And it's Wolf with an E on the end, right? So it's Wolfpack with an E on the end of Wolf. And they had the best burn ends I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, and not to take away from Kansas City or anything, it is a Texas style barbecue as far as how they do it.
Yeah.
My God, dude, it's incredible.
Try it.
And Jared will be the one that gives you your stuff, and they sell out every day. I mean, it's wild.
To say they're better burn ends than Q39 is pretty.
It truly was. It was unbelievable.
High standards.
I got like a gallstone to prove it. It made me like stay up all night.
Q39 is the only place I took my dad, and he started eating, and he was just like, how do they do it? He's like, this is the most juicy barbecue I've ever had. He was like mind blown by it.
It's so funny because I judge a lot of restaurants not by their main course, but all the sides.
Oh yeah.
Everything else that happens. Mm-hmm. Jack Stacks, for example,
they kill it on the
before
sides.
the pandemic. I don't know if they brought it back, but they had one of the best Philly cheesesteak sandwiches I'd ever had.
Really?
And nobody, I mean, it was on the menu, but it was on the side.
That's what I'm talking about
right there.
Man.
Look at the sides
That's
on that.
Yeah, they do like bespoke.
Jeff liked it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, a business in my neighborhood opens, I'm going to be the first person to support it. I also
absolutely.
I go to breakfast twice a week at Happy Gillis. If you guys have never been, it was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. It's awesome. Columbus Park. So where the original Garozzo's restaurant is.
Oh, God, yeah.
I live down there.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, like you, if you're like living in Brookside would be another area I'd want to live in, just because again of all the small shops around, walkability. We love doing all that stuff. So
no, absolutely.
we got a little golf cart. We go around to the places and.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I agree, man. Hey, it was such a pleasure to get to know you.
Yeah, very nice meeting you, man.
Enjoyed
and getting to talk to you.
Absolutely. You guys do. I will give you some comment. You guys, I watched a couple of your podcasts. I'm trying to, familiarize myself, but you guys did a great job. You guys do very good on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Some
that.
better than others.
Yeah.
When you have a guest like you that's
well-versed
and
well-spoken.
spoken, it's a little bit easier to picks up the slack for us.
Yeah, I'll just go straight to the bar, have a vodka. I'm good.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm good.
I love that. Well,
Appreciate it.
We've got tons more questions we'd love to ask you. Maybe we'd love to have you back on another
Anytime.
time, but appreciate taking the time today, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.